So what are the most important things to think about when you're chasing spring walleyes? Presumably you're curious because you did click on this video after all. It's easy for the mind to be overwhelmed when you just get out on the water and you start chasing those fish, but if you just keep these 5 simple things in mind, I promise it'll help you catch more walleyes during the springtime. And of course, I'm gonna give you the best tip at the end because that's kind of how this works, right? Tip number 1, jigs are king. You can certainly catch fish doing other things, but given the fact that the walleyes are often shallow and spooky during the springtime period, this just allows you to get the bait away from the boat to maximize your advantage. And they're super versatile. You can work them in a bunch of different ways. If the fish are finicky, you can tone it down and be real finessey with it. And if they start revving up and getting more aggressive, you can start revving up your presentation, snapping it a little harder, moving it a little quicker, stuff like that. So you can adapt to anything. Learn the right sizes to use, learn how to work them better, and most importantly, learn how to set the hook and when to set the hook. And for a bonus tip, consider using some lighter line in the springtime. You can use monofilament or fluorocarbon if you're going to use a leader, kind of like this. So I got braid as the main line, and then I got a leader behind that. I use 8 pound, sometimes 6, just because it's a little stealthier, but it also is a little floatier down there in the springtime when they're not quite aggressive. They might not chase baits very hard. And if that thing just hangs just an extra split second longer, they might grab it. Tip number 2, think shallow. In the springtime, the entire food chain is up in that shallow water because they're looking for warmth and they're trying to rev up their metabolism, and the walleyes are gonna follow everything else in there. In fact, I don't even look any deeper than 10 feet of water in the springtime, except for one unique situation, which I will get to later on in this video. What does that even mean? For tip number 3, you want to think shoreline related structure. In the middle of summer, fish are going to work their way out towards the middle of the basin, but to start with, they're going to hang out somewhere near their spawning grounds, which are going to be sand and gravel and small rock kind of substrate along the shore. Sand and gravel flats are primo positions. Points can be nice, but not necessary. But definitely give the shoreline structure a hard look before you start thinking mid-lake structure in the springtime. Tip number 4, pay attention to the wind. Everybody knows that walleyes like a good chop. That's why they call it a walleye chop, but it's even more important in the spring, mostly because it pushes warm water around. And as we said earlier, fish are looking for warm water to raise their metabolism. So wherever the wind is blowing, it's likely pushing that warmer surface water into that area. Now, obviously, a direct wind into that shoreline is great, but even if you have a crosswind, wind swept, if you will, going across that shore, that can be just as effective. I just wouldn't spend a lot of time where I am here filming this video on the calm side of the lake. Now, sometimes there might be some fish in there if they're looking at like weeds or if they're on a particular piece of structure along that shoreline, and that's great. But if you look for wind-blown stuff and wind-swept stuff first, that's probably a good starting point. And tip number 5, the most important tip in spring fishing for walleyes, warm water is everything. If you can find a piece of water that's a few degrees warmer than everything else in that area, you're gonna be more likely to find walleyes, but you're also gonna be more likely to find active walleyes that are interested in biting. This also, however, explains why cold fronts actually make fish go deeper, because the shallow water is more susceptible to the temperature changes. So in those situations, the fish might actually retreat down a little deeper into that water that has more stable temperatures. As it turns out, even things that seem counterintuitive actually have a logical explanation. Yes! And if you did find this content helpful, there's good news for you, because I actually have a spring walleye fishing playlist with tons of videos about stuff just like this. Also, if you did like this video, I'd appreciate hitting the button so YouTube knows that. Maybe leave a comment. Maybe think about supporting on Patreon. Maybe book a guide service trip with me. There's a lot of things you can do if you enjoyed this video. But first of which is, just watch more. I'd love to get a bite here. I just don't think it's going to happen because I'm not on the windswept side.